with your host, Donnie Miller, connecting our community with information about issues and opportunities.
Hey, good Sunday morning and welcome to Bridges. I'm so glad you're here. We have a really special guest with us today. I am going to introduce you again. You have met her on this show several times before, but I'd like to introduce you in her new capacity, and that is candidate for mayor of the city of Toledo. I'm talking about Anita Lopez. Hey.
Good morning.
I'm so glad that you're here today.
Thank you, Donnie.
We've got lots to talk about, so do you mind if we get right to it?
Sure, go right ahead.
All right, great. Let me tell people a little bit about you. You've had a pretty amazing career. We've got some bullets from your resume on the screen. You graduated from the University of Toledo with a BA and a Juris Doctorate. That's a law degree for folks who don't know. Youngest of 7 children, and your parents were migrant workers. That's so cool. You worked at CSB for a while, and then you were general counsel for the Fair Housing Center. In 2001, you were elected to the Toledo Public School Board, appointed by Mayor Ford to serve as Director of Purchasing, Contract Compliance, and Affirmative Action. And then in 2004, you were elected as County Recorder, 2006, Auditor, and re-elected Auditor in 2010. You've been a busy young lady.
Yes, and very excited.
Very excited. And also, I don't know if I said this before, but you were the first of you're one of 7.
Yes.
Right? And the first to graduate from college.
Yes.
Your parents must be so proud.
I am very grateful for my parents, and I hope I made them proud.
Yeah, I bet. I'm sure they are. Let's talk about you and this. I want you to stop thinking about Anita as you've known her before, and I want you to listen to what she says to you about her platform as mayor. That's why you're here today. Completely, totally.
Yes.
That's why you're here today. Okay. One of the things that you said actually on the day that you announced was, and we actually have this graphic for the screen that says, I'm a candidate that has a solid plan for the city's future, for economic development. We need safe and strong neighborhoods. We also need a mayor that has experience and create a government that works for the people, right? All right. Let's talk about what are your plans for a safe and strong neighborhood?
Well, safe and strong neighborhoods are core to the city of Toledo. That's where our children play. That's where our families gather. And we have a project that we will unveil, and it's Toledo Neighborhood Teams, TNT. And we're very excited about sharing this vision with the community. We need to take government to the people. We need to be responsive to the citizens and businesses' needs.
So tell me what Toledo Neighborhood Teams actually does.
That will bring directors assigned to every area in the city of Toledo, and they will get away from their offices and they will get into the community. They will see what businesses and citizens are facing in their neighborhoods. They will see the deteriorating neighborhoods. They will see the roads falling apart. They will see the vacant homes. They'll see the crack houses firsthand.
I think, though, that, Anita, most people would say that they know that stuff is there, and that the neighborhood people know that that stuff is there, too. And what neighborhood people say to me, and I go to a number of neighborhood groups throughout the week, neighborhood meetings because of my other job, they want to see what you guys are going to do about it. So once you get these teams out to the street, then what happens? What's your next step?
Then the goal is to be responsive. Instead of having to go back to the office every day and figure out what the list of things were to do, get people out there immediately so that we can stay above the curve. We need to be responsive. And let me give you an example of that.
Sure.
When I was auditor, West Toledo had major flooding. Those citizens were bombarded with an emergency issue. Mm-hmm. And as auditor, we can decrease the value of property so that they can have immediate tax relief. Mm-hmm. We didn't wait for citizens to call us. We didn't wait for them to find one government center and dig and figure out what the form was to help them during their time.
But is that a fair comparison, Anita, what you did in the auditor's office with the auditor's resources and what you'd be doing in the cities with the city from the position of mayor, with the city in such desperate financial condition? And it's not fair to call it desperate. I'm not saying that. They just found $5 million, so it's not fair to say that it's desperate. But there certainly is a different set of resources available.
Absolutely. But it is fair to say that we are not responsive. It is fair to say that citizens feel that we are not responsive enough. It is fair to say that we've seen our community go through a Great Recession, and we've not been able to turn the corner fast enough.
Right.
And I think if we assemble a team of individuals, and instead of allowing a neighborhood to continue to deteriorate, consistently be out there, be on top of the graffiti when it happens. If you're familiar with what's happening in your neighborhood by directors coordinating it right from an organization and getting information right away, you'll be able to figure out something's going on here. Why is it that we still have known crack houses that have not been dealt with? Why is it that if we have an opportunity or find out firsthand from neighbors, I'm interested in that property before you demolish it. I'm interested in that vacant land before you sell it to somebody else who may not be from this neighborhood. Let me have it. Get a relationship with people.
Okay, and I would say to you that Mike Bell has been on the show, Mike Collins has been on the show, just about all of the candidates for mayor have been on the show except two. And Mike Bell particularly has said that those relationships exist. The Department of Neighborhoods is in the community, but the response is continually, we've got to work within our resources. So do you have a way of stretching the current resources to make them more available to be able to respond to your plan?
Yes, I think maybe it goes back to my history of being the seventh child of migrant workers. Sometimes you need to be able to make dollars stretch, and you need to be able to motivate yourself and motivate your workforce to do more with less. And we've done that at the auditor's office.
Where would you start to cut? Or how would
It's not necessarily about cutting, it's about working smarter, working efficiently, working with a plan with less dollars. What I do know now is that the current plan is not working. I believe citizens are frustrated. I think we're going to lose citizens, that we know that there's a perception that the neighborhoods are deteriorating. We know that when individuals talk about the CDCs in the neighborhood, we're losing funding in that area. But how are we going to make sure that directors understand how bad it is if they don't live in those neighborhoods, if they just drive through them and they're not there on a daily basis to build relationships?
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty cool approach to have the directors go into the neighborhoods, and I applaud you on being creative that way. My question though goes to where the resources come to cause your department to be able to be responsive once they find out those things. I'll tell you what people are frustrated about. They're frustrated about a city government, not just this one, not just the one before, but from as far back as I can remember, going to neighborhoods saying, what do you want? And I mean, they've told us what they want. And then we do nothing as public officials to respond to that. That's what they want. That's what people get frustrated about. So, and everyone will say it's because we don't have the money as a city. I understand that. So you're saying that we're just not working smart enough.
We're not working smart enough, and we're not efficient, and most importantly, you need to be able to have accountability, and you need to make tough decisions to cut the fat out of government. And I've done that at the auditor's office, and I've streamlined services, I've saved taxpayers' dollars, and we're going to bring that attitude and effort to the city of Toledo. And what I can tell you now is that we know when partnering with community organizations, instead of sitting back in our offices, and we know citizens were concerned about the value of properties, we felt that they were right. We felt that they were being overtaxed. When we took government and empowered citizens in their neighborhoods and empowered seniors in their community organizations and partnered with the Margaret Hunt Senior Center, we provided more services with less dollars, and citizens benefited from it.
And you do think that that's an easy overlay to the office of mayor?
And every department can be transferred and benefit from the model we've applied at the auditor's office. But most importantly, if you're not tracking and holding directors accountable and holding them accountable, if citizens are communicating to us what their concerns are, and we have a tree department, we have a street department, the TNT program, Toledo Neighborhood Teams, work to bring that accountability and track the information rather than being reactionary. We're going to be proactive in the communities.
So right now, even though Mayor Bell would say to you that he has hired more policemen than the several terms before him, that crime is down, that he has a strong focus on economic development, you were saying that none of those approaches by him are being effective.
We do not have enough police in our neighborhoods. Safety is a key issue in this race. Policemen have been retiring, but we are not hiring at the rate necessary to be at our maximum force. We need to control crime.
And you would do that?
Absolutely.
Tell me how you would have responded to this Blade series on gangs. What would your response have been to the Blade?
First and foremost, the more educated a community is, the more responsive they can be. I think we need to be transparent about those issues. Second, we need to hire more police. We know that when citizens leave their home and they go to work, they have to be worried about who's going to break into their home now. Those issues didn't occur. When individuals go to worship, they have their cars broken into. That happened to my own vehicle while I was at church. Those type of issues are happening on a regular basis in our community. And the reality is, we do not have enough police, and I'm going to make a budget that works to hire more police officers. And we need more to combat the crime that is happening now in our community.
Let me ask you this question about the article on gangs. It's a little off of your platform, but I'm interested in knowing what you think. As a Hispanic woman, and I'm a black woman, we have a slightly different view of the way some things happen out there than people who don't share a minority ethnicity. There was great concern that the article in the Blade made it more difficult for people of color, that it increased the stereotyping of people of color, that it increased, so now every kid who's walking with saggy pants is a gang member, when in fact for many of those kids it's just what they do right now. I mean, I had a fro that was out to here in 1970. It was just what people did back then. So do you think that article actually made it more difficult for folks of color?
No, I think we need to focus that regardless of what neighborhood you're in, regardless of what your ethnicity is, whether you're Hispanic, African American, or Caucasian, no one likes crime. No one likes the fact that seniors are being fearful of where they have to go during the daytime. No one, whether it's African American, Hispanic, or white, no one likes a loved one to be killed.
To be killed, okay.
So that, again, is let's take the politics out of it and let's talk at the heart of the matter, is that people feel unsafe. We know that we have issues that need to be addressed, and we need more police officers to address that.
All right, you hold that thought. We're going to go away for just a second. We'll be right back. Promise.